Today's episode of Who's Your Daddy with your fatherly advisors, myself, Farstrider Games, and the one and only Dangler Games.
What up, peeps?
So we're going to attempt intellectual conversations about a wide range of interesting and pressing topics while attempting to play through a little bit of Elden Ring, which we've both beaten. We both have hundreds of hours in our original characters, but we're trying out some new builds. And while doing that, we're going to talk about child mental health, and we're going to follow that breadcrumb and see those breadcrumbs and see where it leads us. Might take us into some interesting areas. But first off, let me get into Dan's game. Dan, you can get me in there.
I summon thee,
dude. Yeah, like some of these views are just like a painting.
Yeah, they're nuts. It's quite beautiful.
Like particularly looking at Liurnia, that's pretty nice. But yeah, like, could you imagine this shit if they actually had like good textures and like good graphical fidelity with all?
Oh man,
fuck.
Well, that's why I'm looking forward to the
that's why
the
Demon's
future.
Souls looks good.
Yeah, that's why I'm looking forward to the future of the franchise. Because I mean, they've taken this engine a long way. Because it's still obviously kind of like this is like the Dark Souls 3 engine, right? But it's like greatly expanded on, and I think they did a good job for how vast this game is. But man, I can't wait to see where they take it, because this is like a Breath of the Wild kind of moment. It's like dark Breath of the Wild. It's just amazing, and I love the fact that you can go to all these places. But it also doesn't look right. It almost looks like you're in a snow globe. Like it doesn't look real. You know what I mean? Like it's a little too circular. I don't know if that makes sense. Like it feels like there's an edge of the world. Like, you know what I mean? If you just go past like the furthest reach, it probably just drops off.
Yeah.
Like the world is flat in this game. So I feel like I'm looking forward to seeing where new technology takes us, because a lot of the game previews for stuff that's coming even next year are looking nuts. So
yeah, man, I'm so
pretty sweet. I know, I can't wait. Games are just getting so good.
Yeah.
But I guess today we're gonna go over this this cliff edge, but we're gonna go this way. So I went to this little chapel already. I got the Sacred Tear.
Nice.
I enhanced my flask, but I think there's some stuff over here. I need some. Do you have holy damage? I can't remember. We gotta fight some
not this character.
deadites. Okay, well let's just go here and just kind of clear out some of those guys. And I think there's an item to get or something. I can't remember, but yeah, jeepers. Like
I think this
that place over there. That place over there, is that the area you start off in?
Yep.
Yeah, it is too, isn't it? Okay, sweet.
We can go there.
This way over here.
How, but not this early in the game.
Yeah.
You can go back at some point.
Yeah, you do. I think it's closer to the end of the game. I remember having to do something over there. Okay, this is where we're gonna fight these skeletons.
Ah, yes.
Whoa, hello. Butt kicked. These guys actually scare me, because even though we're pretty OP, they do damage. This game's so unforgiving.
Shit! Can't forget to finish them off.
Oh right.
They resurrect.
Yeah. Thank you for the reminder. It's been a little while since we played this last.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
What game did we really sink our teeth into after this? We played this forever, and then we...
Together? What game did we sink our teeth into together? I don't think we've really had one.
Well, to take a break from this game, we must have done something.
Well, we played Horizon.
Oh, Horizon, yeah.
Alone.
Yeah.
Solo experience.
Horizon was really good.
Yeah.
I wish I was into streaming at that time, because I would have actually streamed that game. It was a really good game.
Yeah. I know, I also want to go back and like stream all the old games that I would love to do a new game plus of Horizon. Oh no!
Oh, why'd you return to your... Oh, that's unfortunate.
That is unfortunate.
So does that mean the stream is over for you, or does that mean...
it's still going.
Oh, okay. So I guess I'll just summon you back in.
Yeah.
I must have gotten whatever I wanted from over here. Hold on.
I guess I'll be back at the same spot.
Okay. I can't remember if I looked for the item or not over here. Let me just... I'll be quick. I'll get my trusty steed.
Okay. Been having some weird like connection things.
must have sent your royal decree too many times to your
Oh my god.
internet provider. I can't believe that's real. People are so stupid. Oh man.
The
So for the
old
listeners,
QAnon.
yeah, there's the Queen of, so the Q Anon, the Queen of Anon in Canada. If anybody is wondering what QAnon is, it's like a.
Is that what
It's
the
like a
Q stands
social-
for?
Q stands for level of clearance,
Oh.
connected to the U.S. government, and like Q clearance is like a high level, like national security clearance kind of thing, and so Q was part of a 4chan, like not subreddit, but like I guess 4chan is like Reddit, and so it's kind of like an unregulated social media thing, and this person Q started posting stuff saying that they had Q level clearance. They just were called Q, and they had Q level clearance from the government, and they're trying to expose corruption and like, you know, get normies involved in politics from a real perspective, not from a you know, like we need your vote kind of perspective. So here's some lies to get you to vote for us. So this person got a lot of momentum, and I think they're actually kind of what instigated the January 6th thing down in the States. And a lot of people have come to think that it was actually just the owner of 4chan just being a D-bag and just pretending to be this Q person. But the problem is that like anybody can post as Q. Like it doesn't have to be one individual. Other people can like just change their username to Q and then post. So a lot of people were like making Q posts, but there's people who actually like quit their jobs to follow it because they're thinking like this is gonna be the next big revolution in the U.S. And they actually had one thing where it was I think it was like I don't know the American political figures, but it was like John F. Kennedy or something like one of the Kennedys who had died was supposed to come back to life and make an appearance and swear Trump back in as president while Biden was president. Yeah, and so there's actually like this giant group of like, I don't know, it was like 60 people or something that were waiting for like 3 days in this one spot with all their signs waiting for like John F. Kennedy to come back from the dead. Like just stupid shit that people were just like believing, right? And so yeah, this Queen of Anon in Canada, so the Q stands for Queen, is a Filipino-Canadian woman who is just basically like egotistical, narcissistic, and just is like running with this same kind of narrative and just being like, oh yeah, I've got all the secrets. And she's developed a following, and she has told people that if they tell their like she's issuing royal decrees that Canadians who follow her are free individuals and don't have to pay power bills. And so these like citizens in different areas, like I saw this video on Reddit of this woman from Montreal who was sending royal decrees, which were like letters to her power company saying that she is exempt from having to pay power bills because she is a free citizen. And she did it for 5 months, and the power company just came and turned off her power. And she was like, "Oh, they must have not been getting my royal decrees." Like I'm like just so fucking stupid. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. Some people are really dumb and misled and naive.
Which
dumb is not the right word to say. I think it's most people have.
It's not dumb. It's misled, and this is a great segue into mental health.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
just misled and mentally
misinformed.
Unwell.
Yeah, and I think it's also like when you're isolated and not when you're biased and you're isolated and you're not able or confident enough in yourself and your understanding of things to be able to join the counter narrative and actually listen to it, to critically think about the different opinions that exist in the world, you'll get confirmation bias by hearing things that sound like what you think you believe, and then you'll cling on to them. And you know, most people don't have the brain capacity or like the I don't know, I'd almost call it like ADD, where you like one of the things that plagues me is I just think a lot. I can't stop thinking. It's really hard to turn my brain off. And if something doesn't make sense to me, I'll think as far into it as I can until it makes sense. I've driven myself crazy at times because I haven't been able to make sense of certain things. And, you know, like, I don't know if that's just like a personality type. Like, some people think it's like a mark of genius, but I think it's not. I think it's just like a personality trait. And, you know, like, if I was a smarter person, I'd sort out my problems faster. But it's like, you know what I mean? I wouldn't think into them too far because I'd actually draw like logical conclusions quicker. But it's also one of those things that like makes me really curious about things because I want to understand them. You know, like just hearing like a definition for something or like the name of something I don't know yet, like in school, like biology terms, and like hearing that and then having to associate that to something didn't make sense to me. I had to like understand where its origin was from. I had to like understand its application, why it was named that, so that I could get its significance, right? I had to understand it from the person who named it, like that kind of a thing. So like I had to research the crap out of things to feel comfortable calling them those names. Like, anyways, rambling,
well,
but
looking for more information and trying to be more well informed, and
yeah.
like questioning, or not questioning, but expanding on like new knowledge that you hear is
Yep.
like freaking imperative, because a lot of the times you see a lot of things that are like just parroted from people, you know. It's like you
Totally.
hear
And if
one
you,
thing on Facebook and then that's
yeah.
the
And it's the difference of ignoring the things that don't make sense so that you can continue the narrative, or actually sincerely asking yourself, why does that part not make sense? Like, why does this flaw exist in this argument? Right? Like, that's the thing that's really important about like having a good society, is being able to like see the flaws in your own argument and like ask why those flaws exist and try to think about them without dissolving your own ego, right? Because that's the problem, is like if you bind your self, your personhood, to your belief system, you're like this. If your belief system isn't founded on something like pretty tangible, when it like it's the holes come into what it is, like, you know, like what like where it comes from, and it kind of is shown to be not so legit, like your whole world falls out from underneath you, which is scary. Which is like, I guess, like if we're talking about mental health and like pediatric mental health and or adolescent mental health and like into adult mental health, like um, a lot of people in the last 2 years had their worlds fall out from underneath them because their whole lives were built around the routine of work and family, or like work and responsibility, and it's like the daily grind. And a lot of people lived financially paycheck to paycheck, and so it's like you remove that stability and it's like your whole world collapses, right? Like nothing, you know, like a lot of people don't put much more meaning into their lives outside of spending their money and just trying to fulfill themselves on things and you know, experiences of the reward of purchasing. So a lot of people were living paycheck to paycheck and then had that whole thing just fall out from underneath them. And adolescent mental health, I think like the biggest things that we see being pediatric nurses is sometimes it's unstable situations where like young people who are in a phase of self-identity, like early teen years, you know, they're trying to find their place socially. You'll probably be able to expand on this more than me
well,
because of
that's
having more
where you
experience.
really see it expand, like where you really
Yeah,
see it like show itself.
yeah, and if they don't have stable like parents at home, or even engaged parents who can kind of help guide them and like help secure not just their identities, but just like help justify the way they feel about themselves, or like help them navigate the way they feel about themselves, or the lack of acceptance they might see, or like um, you know, the reason why things aren't the way they think that they're supposed to be, and help them figure it out and, you know, create stability in their lives. Then they start like either getting themselves into a lot of trouble, or they start having these very negative like feedback loop thought processes that put them into these really dangerous like self-harming areas, and then those things get reinforced by bullying, and like they and then they start believing them, and then when they start believing them, that's what their identity becomes, and then they don't think they're worth anything, and then they start self-harming, or they develop really bad behaviors like not eating, or like, you know, like starving themselves to try to get skinny, or like something like that, right? And it's such a fragile age, and I think like in the society we live in now, when parents have been petrified of what's going on in the world and believing all sorts of weird conspiracies and completely flipping their households upside down just because things don't make sense to them as adults anymore, it's completely destabilized things for kids.
Yeah.
And like
I
kids
think that's
need
the key word of the past
Yeah.
2 years for families and kids
Yeah.
is destabilizing.
Yep. Totally.
But like, so that's where you
hold
like
on.
really start. Oh yeah.
I gotta see if I have a Shibiri grape.
Some very eyeballs.
Yeah, are they eyeballs?
Yeah.
They're grapes.
No, they're
Would it
eyeballs.
just be in my normal inventory? Or like is it that's the hard part of this game.
Well, if you talk to her, if you have one,
we should
it'll have the
auto give it?
prompt. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, didn't give her anything. Okay.
I think there's ruins up here. Let me just look at the map for a sec.
These lobsters are assholes, by the way.
Do we want to do like side stuff, or do we like want to go straight?
Oh no, side stuff's cool. I like side stuff.
All right. Okay.
Especially this side stuff. This area, I remember this area. It's freaking bonkers. There's a lot of
because
enemies in here,
we kind of like we have everything. You
Right,
know?
and the side stuff is how you get the spare stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we could just do main stuff.
Like we could go straight
What's this
to
little ghost though?
Rhea Lucaria.
We could go fight that dragon.
Yeah, we could try. It's
Yeah,
gonna
I think we could do
be
it.
difficult.
I have some souls near here. Okay, let's fight these buttheads. Oh. You killed both of them while I was trying to remember how to one-hand
Attack.
or two-hand my sword. Yeah.
Triangle and R1.
No, I got it. Continue though with what you were saying.
I was gonna say like stepping it back, like all the way to the beginning. Like a baby, and pretty much the first 5 years of like a child's life.
Yeah.
Is,
Yeah, the guy
I think,
who was the what's his name? The guy who was the bomber. What was the crap? I can't remember
yeah, I know who you're talking. Ted Bundy? No.
No.
No, that's fucking.
Yeah, that's a murderer.
Is
like,
that? No, Ted Bundy?
Oh, I don't know.
Isn't that the guy from Married with Children?
Yeah, I don't know. No, Ted. Oh, I don't know. Bundy doesn't.
Oh,
seem
it's
right.
Al Bundy. Al Bundy.
Al Bundy. Yeah, Ted Bundy's like a crazy murderer, I think.
Oh, I thought he was the Unabomber.
The boss. Yeah, Unabomber. That's who it was. That guy, I think, because he's like blowing up universities, right? That's what he was doing.
Something like that.
Yeah, he was part of it. Like he was part of the MK Ultra thing, where they.
That was Charles Manson.
Yeah, Charles Manson was, but so was the other guy. But he
wow.
was an experiment where they removed him from his mom, took him into the hospital, isolated him, and only gave him like human interaction when they'd like feed him or change his diaper. And he became a horrible person and like hated humanity. And then he was part of the LSD experiments too, and then ended up becoming the Unabomber and had all this like this big manifesto and like all about how the world's like this super corrupt. And he had this very like isolated and like angry kind of like mindset. So like it's really interesting because like some people, I think, when they don't understand the world around them and they are scared, they isolate themselves. And I think that's like we were told to physically isolate ourselves, but I think a lot of people emotionally isolated themselves as well. Like I had some decent friendships that just like got shut off when the pandemic happened.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like I haven't never really connected with those people. But it was also like at that point that person had, a new girlfriend or whatever, and then I think they just like went full like isolated relationship for a long period of time. And my sister-in-law, who did early childhood education and is doing like a infant toddler specialty, said that like they're seeing kids coming in who were fully isolated with their families until just this year. Like they wouldn't leave the house, like they didn't like interact with anybody, like wouldn't go to family members' birthdays or like like that kind of thing. And they're so behind in like a lot of things. And that was pretty amazing. Yeah, it's just interesting. It's really kind of changed how people in society function, I guess, and how like we develop as humans, and even how disease interacts with us. So like everybody's kind of like learning what society and the world is again from scratch. It's not the same as when we left it last time, right?
Isolation. Kids shouldn't be isolated. Independence is good for young kids, because you want them to be able to. Well, I mean, even then, it requires guidance from the parents. It's good for them to have independence, but isolation is terrible. That's one of the reasons why, I mean, for very young kids, screens are terrible.
Bad.
Because
It isolates them.
It isolates them, but it also takes away like
The
pretend
desire for
play,
social interaction.
imagination, social interaction,
Yeah,
like all that kind of stuff. And that stuff, like, I just hit a execution of no weapon.
Oh,
so why'd that do
nice.
5 damage? Not having that, like the first 5 years without like constant, almost like human training, almost constant bonding, constant attention. It leads to that kind of like those mental health.
Yeah,
issues,
I guess
like anxiety.
I guess it's important to say too that like, it's not like a set in stone thing that if you know, if you don't have these kind of supports in your life, or like,
that's gonna happen.
then it's gonna happen. No, it's just, I think if you have a family genetic history of mental health issues, there's learned behavior that you know, like traits that you learn from watching, like there's nature and nurture. But then I think there's also like the genetic predisposition, and then like, so it's all the factors. It's like cancer, right? Like you can have a genetic predisposition, but there's also like environmental exposures that can give you those kind of things, right?
Let's follow this road and see where it takes us.
So just, that's the thing I love about this game, is it's like there's so many random places that you can go. Hold on, let me get my lamp out too.
I agree with you, but also I think, some people can like manage better without those things in their life. But I guarantee you there's an effect, and it's so hard to like measure something like that. But I guarantee you there's an effect when you don't have that established in a child's life, whether they coped without it or not.
Right.
Like if you were to, like, let's just say,
like it would leave a mark.
Yeah, or
like some kind of insecurity or something.
Some kind of limitation would occur with somebody. Like, let's just say, like, okay, let's take a kid that
Leroy Jenkins.
One of their parents was not part of their life, right? Like the parents split at a very young age, and they were raised by like a single mom or a single dad or something like that.
Yeah, that stuff lasted them forever.
It lasted with them forever, but like, let's even just say that they're like stable people with good jobs and like pretty stable, regular life, like middle class citizen. What would they have looked like, or what would their lives have been like if they did have that connection with another parent?
Yeah.
I guarantee you there's something about that. Whether it's like the anxiety that they like have to deal with, or like they don't have certain coping strategies when it comes with certain things, or some of their interactions with, like, kids.
They develop like really extreme coping strategies to be able to manage. But you know, like, it's not always negative though. Some people have been able to turn that into a really positive thing, right? They've been able to use that to develop a unreal work ethic that nobody else has, but because it's like a curse in their life that they have to overcome, right? Like, it's, I think that's they compensate. Though. Yeah, I think it is the exception. I think there's a lot of people who self-medicate because of those kind of things instead of pushing themselves.
There might be a treasure chest here.
Yeah, there is. I just got it. I got the tree spear.
Nice. Not that it matters, because we have everything already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the hard part too, is the self-medicating aspect. A lot of people do, especially in adolescence. They start getting into like, you know, oh, mom and dad have booze at home, and now like everybody's parents have gummies or something at home. It's like pretty common because it's like a new thing, right? And like those are psychedelic drugs. Like, edible marijuana is a psychedelic drug, and for people who are predisposed to mental health issues, it can lead to like early psychosis with like schizophrenia and like that kind of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
For some people, it helps them to, it draws out the anxiety of issues that they've been ignoring and brings it to the surface and then makes them realize, I got to deal with this. And that's a good thing. But at the same time, not everybody has the same experience. And, you know, like some people get so overwhelmed by the responsibility and the fear of having to deal with something that it crushes them. And they have a psychotic break because they're like, this is too much pressure, I cannot deal with this, like I'm gonna like retract into my brain and not like cope, you know what I mean? And they lose their coping ability, and that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
But it doesn't necessarily mean it's the end of the world, but it can be the beginning of an anxiety disorder.
For sure. And we're seeing like it blows my mind how many kids are on like
Antidepressants.
like antidepressants or like fluoxetine, like stuff like that. Vyvanse.
Yeah.
It seems like the majority. Like most kids that we're privy to see, you know, the meds that kids are on.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would say it's like 50-50.
But at the same time, we're seeing kids that are being hospitalized for these things. Plus, I mean, there's
like,
also in the community, right?
Even just kids that come in as surgical patients have fluoxetine on their medication.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
right. True. Yeah, you know what? Like, I get it. Sorry for the yawn. It is late.
It is late.
But like, if you need those things to cope, then you can get through this phase of life. And then maybe not need it on the other side, right? When you start creating stability in your life. So I totally get it. I understand its place. I don't know if it's necessarily something that you hope that people would have to be on for the rest of their life.
I think it's necessary when it's necessary, but it's like, how did we get to the point that so many kids are needing stuff like this? And I think it really has to do with how parenting, how the traditions of parenting has kind of been lost.
I agree with that. I think broken homes are a massive contributing factor because you take, like, I'm looking at
divorce
my
rates
daughter,
have,
right?
Like
skyrocketed. But like I'm looking at my daughter who looks at her parents and now recognizes us in photos because she's only a year and a half old. But she's like drawing those connections and she's realizing who we are as individuals. But that's her identity, is us, right? It's like what she understands her existence to be is us. And like obviously there's some degree of self-discovery in that, but we're what she sees every day, right? And if you broke us apart and our relationship was no longer a thing, like that would devastate her. It would completely,
for sure,
it would pull the rug out from underneath her in terms of how she views herself and her existence, and her sense of security, her sense of love, like all of that would just go away. And I mean, I can say that because I've lived through it. Both, like, my parents split up and then my wife's parents both split up, and you know, like as an adult I don't think it affects you as deeply as it would as a kid, because your identity isn't necessarily just in your parents anymore, but you also realize that a lot of the
like if your parents separate once, like when you're an adult, or
like the difference between having your parents here. Do we know where we're going? I guess we should go.
Let's go fight the dragon.
Like,
see what happens.
Last Skyr Ruins.
Nope. It's I just set a waypoint.
All right, we definitely have to get to the closest site of grace first.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Oh, there'll definitely be one on the way.
Okay.
If we see the dragon, we'll head back.
Sounds good. But like you develop a lot of independence into, you know, your late teens and your young adult years, and you really have to figure out how to like stand on your own 2 feet, and so your identity becomes who you are, like, you know, the kind of person that you've become. And it's not so much rooted in your parents, but the thing that's a little bit difficult is like when you start a family and you're starting to look at like, you know, how do I raise this child? And if you haven't given it a lot of thought, you default towards like the way you were raised. But if the way you were raised is basically shown to be not worthwhile because your parents never stuck to anything that they taught you, then, you know, like that hypocrisy makes you think that it's like, well, what do I use as a foundation for my family, right? Like what do I use as like the mission statement of this mission we're on, you know? Like that's the kind of the hard part. And I mean, it can just be love, right? It can just be love for each other. And I think the problem though is so many people these days are like not committed to anything. They're just kind of like, they don't see the like long-term value of making promises. Like everybody feels that promises are just meant to be broken these days.
Yeah.
Especially when you have
Well,
like your
there's definitely a
societal
degree of,
leaders.
like narcissism that's
Oh yeah. Well, like our
grown in
societal
people.
leaders show that, right? They're like so corrupt. Like everybody's part of a scandal, and like nobody seems to respect the individual in society anymore. And like, you know, like our own friggin' prime minister is like splitting. Like I'm not a right-wing conservative in any way, shape, or form, but I definitely, you know, and I was quite pro-liberal government during the beginning of the pandemic and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, they're doing a good job, and I'm liking the fact they're really being proactive about like, you know, like supporting the economy by like putting a lot of money back into it. But then you just hear about these scandals that are going on, and you realize how much debt we're in, and then you also start realizing like there's a lot of just like fake niceties that are being communicated here that are not helping. And then it's like, oh, this guy has a bias against like a huge group of Canadians, and so he's gonna just isolate them and basically turn them into monsters. It's like, that's smart. So now we have extremism that's developing, right? Because he didn't like meet them at their level.
Poor leadership.
Really bad leadership. Like it's like high school level leadership. Like it's really bad. And he othered like a whole group of Canadians. And it's like, what are you doing, you fool?
Yeah.
Anyways,
let's go back to divorce though, because I think divorce is
yeah.
like that's a huge topic with a lot of subject matter when it comes to like this topic that we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there's obvious reasons why divorce, other than just like, you know,
Hey, let's go
breaking
here
up
to
a
the little hut.
family. Oh, what hut is this?
I think this is where the side mission
there's
for the boil prawn
prawn
shack.
That's right.
Yeah, I never did this in my first game. This is where you get
yeah.
that one item that's really important. So I'm gonna talk to this guy.
We have
like
to
that
talk to
buff.
There's a chick. See the direction I'm pointing in?
Yep.
That way. Do you see that little like
Tree
house
or the
thing?
Oh yeah,
Not
yeah,
house,
the little
but
castle
stone
turret thing.
There's a person you have to talk to in there.
Okay.
Exhaust her dialogue, and then come talk to the boiled prawn guy.
Okay, let's do it.
Boiled prawn guy. Anyways, like other than just like having a household break and then like watching that love kind of go away, it becomes, I mean, the way I see it, so much harder for each parent to
Raise their kid.
well, obviously raise their kid, yes, but I mean, to more explain it. Let me explain that after we kill this fucking lobsters.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I know.
Why is there so
These
many
guys
of them?
These guys are savage. Oh, they're so savage. Little poker prawn things. Ah, damn you, damn you, damn you. Oh, they hurt me. They hurt me, Mark. They hurt me.
Oh my god.
What is their weakness? Oh, he's just spat on me. Oh, stop spitting at me. These lobsters are like the crabs, but on meth. They're just like ridiculous.
Jeez. Got mine.
You got yours? Damn, nice work. Oh, shoot.
Like, there's no way I can make this point that I'm trying to say while
I
fighting
think I might die.
No!
Oh, crap, this thing's kicking my butt. I feel like fighting them head on is like a death sentence. But, ooh, I just knocked
stab
this
him
guy
in
down.
the chest. Yeah, stab him in the chest.
Got him!
Did we both do it?
I think we did, yeah. Sick. Nice, double
Holy
whammy.
shit. It's really hard
That's
not
great.
having all my heals.
I know.
That
We just
makes
got them all back, though.
Oh, nice.
Okay, let's definitely not
Nice.
fight this other one. He's ridiculous.
There should be a chick up here, or if she's not in this
Yeah, I
one,
see
there's
her.
one
She's
nearby.
there. She's there.
Okay, nice.
Oh, nope. There's no chick up here. There's mythic stones. Okay, where's the closest one?
Maybe it's north of here? West?
Yeah, this way?
Maybe.
I don't have the map for this area, so I don't know.
Oh shit, really?
Yep. You know what? I think it should. Yeah, I know where the map is. I'm gonna go get it. It's just
Okay.
this way.
I'll follow you.
Okay.
Um, to be for like each parent to fulfill their assigned roles, you know,
Yes,
like
yeah,
doing what a
I
father
think
needs to do.
divorce is inevitably like the thing that starts the downward spiral in society kind of starting to fall apart.
Yeah, well, you can
Because
definitely.
when you have kids that are broken individuals who, especially when like it's not just divorce, it's like when the economy is in crap, like job prospects are poor, like people just feel like they have no worth, they have nothing to live for,
Yeah,
right?
well,
It's
there's
like
so
you're
many
just living for
variables
yourself.
involved in all of it.
If you're just living for yourself in life, it's so unfulfilling, right? So if you're not doing something for somebody, or like, you know, like your efforts are going to go grow a group of people, like a family or something, or even like assist with like your family that uh, that you were raised with, because you're still a family, um, you lose a lot of meaning and purpose. And I think a lot of people like move into addiction to kind of like soften the emotions, and then they start getting into crime and stuff. If you know, like, not saying that's what everybody does, but I think that's kind of like the chain reaction that occurs.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And like a
Well,
lot of
right
people,
here.
like, I mean, like
For
the
sure,
freaking
this is it.
homeless population in the city we live in is absolutely astronomical now.
Yes. Well, let's save that because I wanna talk about that in the future.
Yeah.
But I
There
wanna
we go.
talk about the origins first. But I think
Boil prawn
this is kind of
shack.
where I want this
Okay,
conversation to lead up.
this boil prawn shack maybe. I marked it as number 4 marker on mine. I'm gonna put all my markers
Did you get the map
here.
right here?
Yep.
Nice. Here's a question for you. How can a set of parents who got divorced successfully raise their kids? Because I think there is a way.
Yeah. I think you have to
So
be
how do they come
amicable.
back from that? Yes, amicable,
Um,
absolutely.
have to be amicable. So yeah, it means like, for people who don't know what that means that you have to be able to work together. You have to be able to look over your differences to focus on a task, right? Get the job done. So you have
Yeah.
to like not fight. You have to like make peace with the fact that things didn't work out. And you gotta like
Do it for your kid.
be like, okay, well, we still have a kid, so we have to be best friends. You know, like that's the problem. We gotta be able to talk to each other. We gotta be able to text each other. Our future relationships, we have to have some standards that say that like, this other person is a part of my life. They're not going anywhere. Like, you know, and I mean, you complicate the hell out of the rest of your life by doing that. But I mean, some circumstances it's necessary. Like if your partner cheated on you a bunch of times, and you're like, obviously you weren't in love with me, so let's just
Yeah,
not.
that's
You know what I mean? Like that's so
so
hard. Like if it's just because you fight a lot, then I don't know, right? It's so easy to fight in a relationship. It's so easy to find reasons to fight in a relationship. So it's like both parties can be very guilty of it, and so it's like you have to do a lot of like, you know, reality checks sometimes and be like, oh, I'm being the asshole this time, and
Yeah.
you know, I'm mad at the other person because they're being the asshole, but I'm actually being the asshole, and like that can be hard, and your ego can take some hits, but you have to like kind of let your ego dissolve to, you know, get the job done, to raise the family, to, you know, be the partner. But it's tricky. It's not easy. Okay, so anyways, this was I think this is the one we went to.
That was,
No,
yeah.
because those big no, yeah, it was because
Well,
that
they're dead.
prawns there. Let's go to this one over here.
That one looks like it's sleeping.
It is. Yeah, you wake them up when you hit them with your weapon.
Oh, I see.
Um, go into this one.
The part that is like, I don't know, I actually don't have an answer for this question.
Hmm.
Is so like there's like a nuance or like kind of like a subconscious thing, subconscious like I don't know. The word I'm gonna say is entity. When both
Mhm.
parents are raising a kid together,
Mhm.
that I don't think you can like have present if your kid is like, you know, with dad on weekends and then with mom during the weekdays or something like that, you know?
Yeah,
It's
I
like
know what you mean.
it's
It's
hard
like
to fulfill the role because if your kid's with you
it's
for days,
you know what it
it's hard to
is.
fulfill the role of like a mom and a dad at the same time.
It's
You know
true,
what I
but
mean?
it's also like um it's what the child perceives when they are watching two people engage in a loving manner, like what that teaches them
Oh,
about
yeah.
life,
Yeah, it's
right?
seeing
And you can't have that like with just one person.
absolutely.
But I
Well,
mean,
they
like
have to
that's
see
where,
their affection. The affection
yeah,
witnessing that is a huge part of
Totally, but just the way
like
they
emotional
relate,
connection,
the
and
way
stuff like
they
that.
solve problems,
Yeah.
like the way they discuss things. Like, okay, I don't know if we're gonna find this chick.
Who
I
are you
feel
looking
like,
for?
well, we were looking for that chick for the boiled prawn shop.
Oh yeah, no, she's higher up than that. But I wonder if there's something we're supposed to do before she shows up. There's so many little factors like that in this game where it's
I
like,
know.
if you do this step before you do that step, then you're not gonna be able to go to step 3. You know
Should
what I mean?
we just go kill the dragon
Yeah,
then?
let's go. Yeah, fuck
Okay, is
the
it which?
bullet
Where's the
prawns.
dragon at?
I
I
can.
can't remember.
I'll just go to my other character and give you as many bullet prawns as you want.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, that sounds good.
The dragon is up my up
It's
my
up here.
ass.
Yes. It's up
on
here,
my,
right?
1. I put a waypoint, but I don't even know if you can actually see it.
No, I
It's
don't
north
see your
of here.
waypoints.
It's north of
It's
here.
it's just below that kind of city thing, right?
We're super close to the Albinoric village, though.
Is Oh yeah, that's a pretty cool spot too. There's
can
like
keep
a
going
there's a
south.
boss fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a boss fight in there. Let's
keep
do
going
that.
this way.
Yeah, I don't know. It's I think it's easy to take a lot of words and a lot of ideas to try to discuss these concepts, but the only way you can really perceive them and understand them is if you've had both. Like if you've had a very loving and healthy family that you've felt so secure in, and like you know that no matter what goes on in the world, you always have that family, right? You always have that connection with those people.
Like if you have that experience yourself, that's
yeah,
compared to
exactly.
somebody that doesn't.
Yeah.
That's a very good point. 'Cause something I heard recently
Yeah.
was that bad parenting is generational.
Yeah, no,
I don't
100%
know
it
how
is.
much I agree with that because I know people close to me.
Well,
that
here,
are
I'll give you. Okay.
fantastic parents whose parents were garbage.
Yeah, that's true.
But finish what you were gonna say.
Well, no, it's okay. I don't think what I was going to say was really lines up with what we were going to talk about.
But the reason why I think that is true in a lot of cases
I
is
think it's not just bad parenting. I think what it is it's personality traits. Like you could have like really irresponsible parents that are actually fucking amazing individuals and they love their kids, even if they're like
that's still bad
like
parenting. There's
loosey-goosey
got to
and
be like
it's bad parenting,
a boundary,
but
right?
yeah, but then maybe their kid growing up in those environments were like, you know, like it was gong show growing up. Like I don't want to raise my kid in that risky of an environment. Like my parents love me to death and they still do, but I'm going to have some different boundaries with like the way I raise my kids versus like mental health issues that are like generational, so to speak, where it's like this person has like depression and has an anxiety disorder and it's perpetuated by how their parents were dealing with, or parent was dealing with this anxiety disorder. And so they're always anxious as a grown-up because they saw their parents always anxious about everything. So they've learned to fear the world because their parents were always scared of it. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing I think is generational, which can make you a bad parent because it can distract you a lot. Like, and that's a mental health thing, right?
Yeah. So you see if I understand what you're saying. Character traits are generational. Is that kind of what you're trying to say?
Yes.
So like you,
because they're
learn
hereditary.
the behaviors of your parents because when you were a blank slate, you learned that.
That's the way you're supposed to function in the world. Is the way that your parent functioned. And as much as you may hate it because you see the shortcomings in it, or you see the downfall in it.
This really looks like it'd be a door.
Sometimes, yeah, it does, right? Sometimes you can't escape the tendencies to want to repeat those behaviors, right?
So if you got like a shitty dad, and you saw what dadding is supposed to look like.
Yeah, but your parent was just super absent
right?
because they're too absorbed with themselves. They couldn't, like, they had zero interest. They even told you at times they had zero interest in being part of your life, right? They're there. They paid the bills. You always had good food to eat and a nice house to live in, but you basically had to figure out life on your own because your parent was just completely absent. Like, that's a thing. That's, like, close to home. But, and then, like, you don't want to start following in those same traps, right? Where you're like, oh, like, I don't know if being a parent is, like, it's a lot of work. I didn't really realize how much work it is because when I saw my parent, they were self-indulgent the whole time. Like, I don't know.
It is a lot of work.
Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely.
but it's also the fucking biggest reward ever. Like
Oh,
today,
for sure.
M was having like a kind of a snuggly day. She was just like, just really wanting hugs, and like, my dad came over, and he scares her. He's never around. He comes over like he's been here like 5 times, and she always gets really scared of him because he's really mopey. So he's got like a sad, mad look on his face, and it kind of scares her. And even though he's like wants to be loving, but then when he gets her playing strange, it makes him feel down, which perpetuates his kind of like mopey demeanor. So it's like he's counterproductive. And I can't explain it to him that way because it's a little bit too complex for him. I don't think he gets it.
Yeah.
And but then M just is terrified, and so she just needs to be held. And so like I hugged her. My dad had a phone call, and I like she was like Velcro gripped onto me. Like I need to get tighter and closer, and I can't. This is about as close as I can get, but I need to get tighter and closer. You know what I mean? Like she's just like gripping so hard. So I'm just hugging her so hard back, and I'm like, oh baby, it's totally okay. Like everything's fine. Like, Papa loves you. Papa loves me. He's my Papa. And like, like just explaining it to her. And then she just couldn't calm down. So I started singing her Wheels on the Bus because that always calms her down.
Oh.
And she fell asleep in my arms while I was singing Wheel on the Bus to her. And then
wow.
and then my dad and I started talking. And then when my dad were laughing and like about whatever we're talking about, she woke up, right? And but then she was calm with him. And I was like, oh my God, I love my child so much. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she needs me. Like, I need to be here for her. Like, it's like that kind of bond.
That's right.
Like, you have to have that through all of your difficult moments in life, because that sense of love is what like gives you security and gives you that sense of like it's gonna be okay, right? And I think when like kids are ignored and like their home is broken and the parents are too preoccupied with their own remorse, or like like to like give that to their kids, or they find their kids annoying and they like can't give them that love, the kid is like hopelessly looking for it everywhere they can. Right? And when they can't find it, they start hurting themselves, and it's like it sucks. And I think that's also why religion is such a big thing, because like the idea of having this like God who like loves you and solves all your problems if you do what he asks is like the missing parent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, if I can appease my God, he will fulfill me with love. And you get in these like group circumstances, like churches, especially like really like what's the term for that kind of church? The evangelical churches, where they're like like big spiritual movements, like big preachy, like sing-song things. Like the music is really dramatic and emotional, and it's like everyone's calling out to God because they love him, and you get this really wild, like I was part of that for a while, you get this like really wild like psychological experiences where it's almost like, I've heard people say that it's like very similar to like DMT or like some sort of a psychedelic drug, where it's like you can have these overwhelming senses, like it's the presence of God, that love is there, and it's like it's the same kind of feeling you got as a kid when you're like, my world is ending and your parent just hugged you and loved you and was like, everything's gonna be okay.
Extreme
it's that
sense of belonging.
Exactly. And it's like it's wild, and everybody in that community all gets it. That's all why they're there. And so when somebody's getting that feeling, or that they're having that experience, they're calling it like a breakthrough with God, and they support it. So it's all like self-reaffirming. But it's the thing that's actually really amazing about it is that you can take some very broken people and give them some of these experiences, and they are transformed. Like they're like, I'm ready to love the world. And it doesn't fix their problems, but it really gives them a sense that they matter. And like, but that's also just speaking to the power of community. And so that's, I know we go off on a million tangents on these talks, but I really think that that's why, like, I went through those experiences, and having come from a home where, like, there was a lot of just, like, emotional rejection, because, like, my dad wasn't with it enough to be able to, like, manage my challenges, right? And my mom tried to help, but...
Yeah, I think your faith in the past was almost like your salvage moment.
Totally, 100%, 100%. And it's made it so that I can't not believe in God. But I am not a religious person. Like I can't go to church. I find the whole freaking, like, you know, like after you spend enough time in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of it's hokey, but also like when you spend enough time in it, you start seeing the politics, and you realize it's like a miniature government. It's like a miniature America, and it's like people are milking off the proceeds and like, oh, this guy is awesome. Oh, hold on. What? Shoot, I was supposed to answer this a certain way. Do you remember the way I'm supposed to answer this?
Oh,
they didn't seem right. They were magnificent. I wonder if I can close and just reread his dialogue. Yeah, I think I can. Because I skipped through it. There you are. You claimed a great rune and had your audience with the 2 fingers at the round table hold. What was your impression? They didn't see him right. Yep. Yep, that's right, because you're supposed to... The Blood Lord.
I'm gonna crack open my Coke Zero.
Coke Zero? Hell yeah. But yeah, and that was the thing, is I think like some of the experiences I had and feelings of fulfillment and belonging, and that something greater than all of us loved me more than any person could, made me realize that's what matters. Like that's the purpose, because nothing in this world is as fulfilling as that. And I never experienced anything as fulfilling as that. But the thing that's really unique about that is that I'm not the only person who's had that kind of experience. This religion is one of the most impactful things in the world, in the history of the world, and one of the longest lasting, most stable belief systems in the entire world for a reason. And it's like, yeah, get this, get you. You know what I mean? So it's like you have to think about it that way. Like it's like logically thinking about it, there's some significance to this. And it's, I don't know if it was just perfectly engineered off human psychology. Like somebody really smart was like, I know how to get these guys. But the problem is that doesn't help them. That doesn't help that person, because that person is long gone, right? The people who wrote that book are long gone, and they all wrote a very congruent story in its parts that actually like comes together with a conclusion. It's kind of open-ended, but it makes sense. Like if you get through it a few times, you're like, oh, I see how this all is pieced together.
Fits together, yeah. I see where the lessons are.
Yeah, yeah, and it's significant, and it all is directly applicable to life. Like, I don't want to reference Joe Rogan too much because I know he's very controversial, but like, he is kind of interesting to listen to because he does discuss a very wide range of things with very interesting people.
Oh yeah.
And he was even talking about how Christianity actually has a really good place in this world, and how all the people he knows that are like devout Christians tend to be the most like emotionally stable and like psychologically sound and emotionally fulfilled and nicest people he knows, even though like some of the religion's super wacky. And I agree with that. There's some parts that are like kind of out there, but they have the most fulfillment and can offer the most kind of like, you know, and I know some other religions can be like that too. My personal experiences with Christianity, but I know that a lot of other religions really want you to do stuff. Like they really want you to like join the group. Well, I mean, Christianity's like that too, but
there's like you have to participate.
But it's stable. It's stable. Like groups of Christians aren't going around murdering their peers. You know what I mean? Like it's like, not to try to like pick on anybody. Like it's typically like in the news you hear about like the Muslim communities and undeveloped nations are doing that kind of stuff, right? But be it that, like there's also groups, it has to do with education and like other belief systems. Like I know in Africa, like they have like a big history of witchcraft and stuff, and so I think there's probably some religious groups in Africa who don't really understand it and believe that they're supposed to kill the witches, right? Like it's, and that has to do with like education and like a lot of that kind of stuff. So it's not perfect. It's definitely not perfect, but people are not perfect, and that's the big thing. And I think that's the thing that we're discussing in this conversation, is that
very easily misled.
People can be very easily misled, and people have a lot of holes in them, and they feel a lot of pain. And the thing that fucking boggles my mind to this day is the origin story in the Bible, which is not just Christianity. It's like Judaism, like even like the Muslim religion. It's called the Torah, right? It's the original books of the Bible that like all of these like Middle Eastern-y religions are based off of.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, the whole
Isn't
beginning
the Torah,
of it.
like the Jewish book.
It's like the first 5 books of the Bible is the Torah, and it's like It's basically, oh crap, I died fighting
Oh
these
no!
big brutes. I thought I could back roll away
Okay,
from them
I'll
in
meet
time,
you.
but
I'll meet you at the closest.
sure. Oh, I can, the
bonfire.
Stake of Marika. The Stake of Marika. I'll summon there.
Marika. I don't know where it is.
Oh, shoot. I'll tell you, because I'm summoning there. It's actually just right where we were. Oh, we have to fight one of those, I think we have to fight one of those, dead guys in a boat. So it's in that like little archipelago of islands that's like right off of like the the city area, Rea Lucaria,
Okay.
I think is what it's called.
I'll ride there.
Okay, Temple Quarter is what it's called. And it's so if you're looking at the map, the little circle of islands, if you're looking at the far right, there's like 2 stacked on each other, and then there's 1 below it. It's like it's closest to the 2 stacked on each other. Look like day 5 poops.
Yes.
Yeah.
How do you sprint on your horse again? Oh, it's circle.
Yeah.
Figured it out.
Same as when you're on feet. But yeah, so the crazy thing about this is that like this is the thing where it just makes too much sense for me to not believe it, because I haven't found anything that describes our situation as humans any better than this. In the book of Genesis, you had Adam and Eve in the garden, right? And they had this perfect relationship with God, and God is always described as being the Father, right? And it's like a lot of people who don't have much education in this don't really understand. They think that God's supposed to be like this person who either lives in the clouds or is like just this like looked at as like a Roman god, you know what I mean? Like this, it's a person, it's an individual. But when you read through the Bible, you start to understand that's not how it works. Like God is everything. Like God has made everything, so everything describes God. Like it'd be like, yeah, it's kind of, yeah, and that's the way that like the Holy Spirit is described. So there's like the Godhead, like the 3 entities of God, right? So like the Holy Spirit is like the Force. It's like the portion of God that connects us all. It's like the hive mind that like when you're like a believer, so to speak, you have this like unspoken bond with other believers, and that's kind of like, from my understanding, that's kind of how it's described. So it's like the portion of God that kind of connects us all, right? It'd be like if you had like Neuralink in your mind. It's like you're getting up like connected to the network, right? It's like kind of like that. And then you have like the Son, who is the physical manifestation of God. But then you have God the Father, who is like the overseer of all of this, who is not a individual being, but like a life force that exists, right? Like that's kind of the way that I've come to like understand this. And so like Adam and Eve in the garden, right, were like the first humans that were made, and they had this like unbroken bond with God, and they lived in perfect like communion with God, and there was nothing that separated them from God at all. It was like a perfect relationship, right? And then they're given a choice, and what were they going to choose? Were they going to choose God, or were they going to choose their own will, right? And I think this is the thing that's really interesting, is people would be like, well, why the hell were they offered a choice? Like, why would you want to lose that? But I think the thing that makes sense in this is that like we're in the middle of the timeline apparently, and in the conclusion of the timeline, the perspective that having gone through the beginning to the end of this timeline will have created for humanity will make being reunited to that perfection relationship with God, like if you won $1 billion and you were on the edge of poverty, but times infinity. Like it would be like that sense of like, oh my gosh, like what we've gained back, right? It'd be like, it's like losing your inheritance and like living your whole life being like, I lost my inheritance, my dad hates me, I've been cut out of the will, I lost millions of dollars, and then right at the end you get it back, and you're like, oh my gosh, like it's like you know, like having that sense of loss gives you appreciation for what you get back in the end, which is actually a better gift than just having had it in the first place, right? So as much like this, it gives purpose to pain and suffering. And the thing though is that like the way that it's described biblically is that God didn't want us to have pain and suffering and death, but he offered a choice, and he told like Adam and Eve like the consequence of choosing this, and he's like, you will then have to deal with this, and you don't want to deal with that. And they're like, okay, but then they went and they're deceived, right? And they're like, okay, and so they went with the deception because it sounded tempting at the time. It was like marketing, you know. It's like, I'm gonna sell you on this. It's great. Then after the fact, you get the bill, and you get the interest charges for the, because you did payment plan. And you're like, oh, this totally screwed me, and it's kind of like that. And then, but the crazy thing is that they're cut off from God at that point. Like they're kicked out of the Garden of Eden. They had to go, like they were gonna die then, right? They're like, now you're gonna actually deal with death, and like women are gonna deal with labor pains. Like you're gonna deal with all these things that come with not being connected to God anymore. And then they learned the hard way, and it's almost like it allowed all of the chaos and shit to enter the world because people broken, right? They're just basically born broken from that point on. And they're like, I'm not connected to what I'm supposed to be connected to. And everybody's longing. And the only thing that gives them a glimpse of what that's supposed to be is the love that they feel between each other. But it's like fleeting, right? So it's like you can get that at points in your life, but it's not consistent. And I think the whole idea of being connected back with God is that you just consistently have that. And it's like, I think that's why it has so much bloody staying power, because it's not just a concept, like you experience it, like, like when you really like give yourself to that idea and you pursue it and you chase God on your own, you get it, like you get it for periods of time in your life. And it's not like it's consistent, but you experience it at some point. Like if you fervently are like trying to find God, you end up having that. But it's like, it's almost like you manifest a hallucination. Like it's, you know what I mean? Which is why I hear it being compared to like psychedelic drugs. Because if you, it's like some people are able to achieve those heightened senses of like emotion and elation through controlled breathing and like guided meditation. Like there's some people have been able to do that, but I think like that's almost what this is. You know what I mean? It's really interesting. So it's like for me, having gone into it. Oh, did you drop your summon sign? I'm at the site of Marika.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta eat a finger. So I think that's the thing that's really interesting about it is like, I've experienced it to a degree. I've experienced that. I've experienced love in my own family, but I've also lost love in my own family because my parents broke up for a stupid reason. And I'm mad at both of them. And, like all of our family events are now split between 4 individual parents because my wife's parents like broke up. And so it's like, that freaking sucks. And it's really hard trying to like raise a kid. Well, I mean, we're so early, so it's like I haven't really had to deal with the challenges of it yet, but like,
well, there's so much to come.
It's so much to come, and I'm just like, I'm nervous about all that, and so I get why people gravitate towards religion, but I also get how like when people fully abandon trying to have that sense of belonging, that sense of family, how it creates mental health issues in society, and that's why I think this is not something that we necessarily just learn, but it's ingrained in us. It's part of our existence. It's part of, but I think it's also, you could argue it from a strictly evolutionary perspective and say, well, that's how humans have survived. We've learnt to crave belonging and community and love because without it we die, right?
Yeah.
Like we get picked off by predators, and so if we don't have those things, our species doesn't survive. So it is a very deep and powerful emotion and sense that we have to have, because we have to have that in order for humans to continue on. So it's crazy because that makes sense too. You know what I mean? Like, it's really interesting. And I think the reason why I choose, even to this day, even though I'm not like out like talking to people about Jesus, it's like on one side is that you were purposefully created for a very grand and great thing, and the other side is you're the consequence of a very complicated like mistake, basically. And like, what kind of value do I want in my life, right? Will it matter if I spend my whole life believing some weird old fairy tale if it gives me a very excited sense of what's to come, versus trying to just believe in the fact that this is just a chance accident, a very complex one. And then nothing really matters when you die, right? Because I don't think I'm going to really actually help people through my life if I believe that. And the whole reason why hospitals and healthcare exist is because of like the belief system that we matter, right? Like that's its origin. Its origin, as much as like people want to shit on the Crusades because of like the horrible things they did in the name of religion, or in the name of God. Like that's where charity came from. That's where like all of the hospitals across North America and Europe were started and named after saints, right? Like because it was like part of like, like if you love God, that means you love other people, because God made all the people, because he loves family and he wants a very big family, right? So you're going to take care of his family. If, he can't, because we chose to separate ourselves from him a long time ago, and we're dealing with generational consequences, right? Like, that's the thing that's insane, is like all these principles make sense. It's like you're dealing with the results of somebody's super shitty decision making. Like every single 10 years that go by, our countries are dealing with some sort of crisis because of some previous leader making a stupid decision, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's, and it's really interesting too, is because like in the Bible they talk about like how sins are forgiven, but it doesn't mean you aren't going to deal with the consequences of your actions. Which is why like churches are always like, you have to like have good works. It's because if you don't, and you have bad works, as much as your sins are forgiven, you still fuck up generations of your family to come. You still fuck up the family that you live with now. You can destroy your relationships still, right? You can still leave a terrible legacy.
You
So
can also be religious or faithful, but like completely misled in what those lessons are supposed to be.
I
Because
know
there's some
that's
like,
the thing that scares me, is that like I was
and
in
that's
this church
just
community and
people.
there were some fucking stupid people. Like, pardon my French, I'm not sounding like a very Christian person right now, but like there were some people that were so stupid they would believe the dumbest things and they'd focus on the stupidest crap.
Well, that's
And
the
but
thing.
like,
They take the lessons that are supposed to be taught in the worst way or the wrongest way.
yeah, and that's the thing too, I think, that makes sense about leadership as well, is like there's a lot of the parables and like stories and analogies and stuff in the Bible are all from the perspective of like a shepherd, or like somebody who's caring for a flock, and they
Shepherd.
never like let a sheep behind, right? They never like look at like the scraggler and say, ah, you're not worth it. They go back out in the storm and find them. You know what I mean? It's
Mm.
like that's a big part of it too, is that
Are we
like
doing this?
you're responsible for the idiot just as much as you're responsible for the genius.
Yeah.
And I think that's why the church exists, is because people really feel that it's their responsibility to take care of everybody, right? Like, because they know that there's some idiots. They gotta love them, they gotta
Yeah.
help them, right? And yeah, it's crazy, man. It's so crazy to have been part of that community for a long time, and feel like I get it to some degree, but also feel like everything I've learned in the medical system, everything we know about healthcare, everything we know about people, really lines up with the stuff that I was taught in church. Like, which is pretty wild.
Yeah.
Like, it's easy for a lot of people to say it's all bullshit because they feel guilty about abandoning it, right? Or they feel guilty about like not living to their like their, not their morals, but their conscience, or their conscience, right? Like abandoning, like, like maybe having made bad decisions and feeling like they are an outcast now, which is why like confessing your sins is such a bloody powerful thing, because like if you can be forgiven for making mistakes, then you can move on from them, right? Like, one of the biggest things is like not forgiving yourself, or not forgiving somebody who's made a mistake against you, because you become trapped by it. And like, this whole thing is about like being reborn and like being able to like make fresh decisions, right? And like, you're still going to be kind of like dealing with the consequences of old mistakes, but it doesn't mean that you have to make future mistakes, right? Like, I think that's like the really important thing. I don't know, I'm having some weird epiphanies right now in this conversation about mental health, because I feel like it all lines up with our origin story, and I think like, you know, as you can choose to believe that stuff or you can choose not to. Some people have never been told it before in their lives, but like, yeah, I don't know. It just makes so much sense to me. It's hard to ignore.
Well, I want to go back to your shepherd comment
Yeah,
because that's very much what a parent is. So
yeah, 100%.
if you take, you know, some of these Christian people that that seem like very misled in
Hmm.
what they take from their religion, right? The lessons
Yeah,
they take, and like how wrong they've taken the lesson.
yeah,
If they don't have a shepherd, then they take that and they go with it and they run with it and they just go down the wrong path.
distort
And
it.
like I feel like
Yeah.
these days, when you look at society and you see all the, I mean, there's a lot of very peculiar individuals out there with a voice because of social media and the message that they share. is so perverted and wrong.
Can I tell you something really interesting?
Sure.
Remember me kind of telling you about like the Godhead and the different figures? Um, the whole concept of the Holy Spirit is supposed to be like the unifying way to interpret the Bible. Like, because the whole idea of the Bible is that it's supposed to be like the Word of God, right? Like it's inspired by God.
Okay,
And
wait, can I pause you for a sec?
Yeah.
You know that rock that was kind of like near the dragon? We were kind of standing there for like a minute.
Oh yeah, you gonna
Look
drop
at
your
the
summon
dragon?
sign there?
I'm gonna drop my sign. No, you drop your sign there so we can kill my dragon.
Oh hell yeah, sounds good.
Continue.
Yeah.
Godhead.
So like the Holy Spirit is supposed to be the aspect that gives you, it's almost like it enhances. It's almost like an upgrade to your conscience. So like when you, like it's supposed to help you like discern what's truth and what's not truth. And so like you get these preachers that are all bent out of shape about money, and they're like, everyone looks at them and they're like, you guys are so corrupt, right? Like they think of them that way. Like this Kenneth Copeland, have you ever heard of him?
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, he's like, there's H3H3's brought him up. He's been on Joe Rogan before, talking about like how he's like this super rich guy who has Tyler Perry's personal jet, and like he owns a couple mansions, and they're like, why does a preacher need this stuff? And the Bible actually warns about those kind of people and says like the ones that lead the flock astray for like their own gain are going to be judged the harshest. Like they're the ones that are going to be like, you fucked up big time, because they know that they're fucking up and they're ignoring it, and they're leading people into like a really dark path, or they're putting doubt on the truth, right? Like, which is, and that's like when you hear buzzwords like the truth and stuff, it's like what we were talking about before about like, you belong, like you have a purpose, you matter, your existence isn't a mistake, you're in the hardest trial you'll ever face, which is being alive. It's navigating this life is the hardest thing you'll ever do. And it's different for everybody, right? You could be in battle in Ukraine. You could be, like human trafficked. There's all these horrible things that could happen to you. Well, it's true though, right? Like there's all these horrible things that could happen to you, but that is life. Life is, like, it could be awful.
There's going to be trials and tribulations no matter what hit.
Yeah, and like it could just be, it could, the most horrible thing you could ever experience could be having your boyfriend or girlfriend break up with you, right? The hardest thing you could ever experience is doubting your own gender, like, right? Like dealing with that, like that whole thing. Like it's different for everybody, but everybody's gonna suffer through it. And I think the whole thing is that like people wonder if the suffering matters, right? They're like, what's the point of this? Like, what's the point of existing? And that's really like what causes mental health problems. It's like, I'm working nonstop, like I have no money because my partner can't stop spending it, like, or whatever, right? Or I can't stop spending it, I have a gambling addiction, like whatever, right? Like whatever your challenge is, like what's the point of all this? And it's like, if you look at those basic tenets of like, I'm part of a big family, right? And this is all manifesting into literal heaven one day. Like it gives you a reason, right? Like it gives you a place and a role. And that's where, like, if you don't have biological parents because you were adopted and you don't know where your parents are, or your family disowned you for some stupid reason, you can find a new family. Like that's why church is so powerful, because a lot of the times there's enough people in there that are quite genuine that they'll just accept you as part of their family, because that's the way they view humans, is one big family, right? Like they're, like we have our biases, like people aren't perfect, so there's going to be racist people, there's going to be like, judgmental people, but at the end of the day, the people that are sincere about this kind of stuff look past everything just to give a human a home because they matter, right? Which is where charity comes from. It comes from the church. And it's yeah, I don't know, it's wild. I feel like this topic of discussion is like really making me remember a lot of like those kind of things, because I came to realize that there's a lot of people I met in that community that were very charitable and very caring and very like would give you the skin off their back. Like they just, you know what I mean? Like they'd invite you over for dinner any day of the week, and they're just really awesome people. And like in healthcare, there's some good people, but there's also a lot of shitty people, and it's like, you know, because it's like, why are you doing it? Is it for a paycheck, or is it because you actually care about people, right? And I think that's why a lot of Filipino people are nurses, because a lot of Filipino people are Catholic, and so I think that's like, right? Like, these things mean something, and it's like, if you lose the heart behind, like, the intention, and you lose the purpose, none of these things matter anymore, which is partially why I think our healthcare system's collapsing. Because I think people, you know, we've had a giant generational move away from religion. We've had a giant generational collapse in family units, and people don't care about people like they used to.
True.
And I honestly think that's a big part of it.
Be a factor, but
I think it's a factor. I don't think it's the reason, but I definitely think it is a contributing factor.
Is money.
I don't know if it is, man. Our jobs are pretty good.
No. The money that the government wants to put into healthcare to make it functional.
Yes, but I don't know if you noticed, there was a news report saying that the government was supposed to. So you know how the health transfer works, right? The federal government transfers a portion,
Yep.
right? So they transfer, I can't remember what percentage, and then the provinces do the rest. They have to fund it themselves. The provinces have been asking for a big increase on the health transfer fund from the federal government to subsidize it because of the improvements that have to be made. The health minister for, like, the federal health minister for all of Canada just came out with a statement saying that they're not going to be giving any money to any of the provinces until they see better results, is what they said. And so they're like, do better with what you have, and then we'll talk. And the problem is, we can't. Like, we cannot, because we don't have anything.
Dumbest thing I've ever heard.
But I think the problem too is that the provinces have a lot of effing money they're sitting on because of unpaid wages. We know that. A lot of our departments have massive staffing funds of millions of dollars because they haven't been paying staff. And so they're like, hire people, right? Like, get people working. And they're like, well, we can't because people won't work until they're paid more. And it's like, well, yeah, but at the same time, you can't just throw money at people, because give them 4 years, they're going to want more. They're never going to, it's true though. Like, every single year, or every single 4 years when we go to bargaining, like, they're always trying to negotiate wages, right? They're always trying to increase wages. Here, I'm going to give you a new spot to go to. So the
Academy Gate Town. Let's go Academy Gate Town. And then
no. I'm right next to a stone key entrance to a cave that I've never seen before.
Where?
I'm trying to tell you. So maybe let's just go to Academy Gate Town. Academy Gate Town is like the finger reader crony off the Academy Gate. Okay,
Crony.
Academy.
Crone.
Yeah, that's fine. He looks like a crony to me. Anyways, yeah, we're in a bit of a predicament because I think what the federal government wants is, like, they spent us into this insane deficit, and healthcare is a very expensive thing to fund. Oh, yeah. And so I think they're kind of like, we're not in the position to give you any more money right now because we spent it all. Like,
yeah.
Right? Which is why I don't like the Liberal government, because as much as, like, the Liberal government has been great and investing in Canada, they're not willing to invest in Canada right now, which kind of sucks. So, yeah, that sucks. I mean, like, we make good money, but, like, an electrician at Domtar makes more money than us. And we keep the citizens alive. Like, right? Like, if you don't have health infrastructure,
for the shit that we deal with.
Well, but the problem too is it's not even the stuff that we deal with, it's the things we need to be dealing with. Mm-hmm. It's like we need to be doing more, like, prevention medicine, not instead of, like, band-aid medicine.
Yeah.
But they can't fund that right now, right? They can't fund
prevention,
primary
like good parenting compared
primary
to
care. Do you remember learning all about? Yeah, exactly. But that's the problem, man. That's the problem. Is that, like, what I'm telling you right now about, like, my perspective on this? This is my own personal perspective on this because of the Christian community I grew up in, and, like, the way I've learned to view the world, the lens I look through, right? You could call this my truth. This is the way I see things. because of that, like, I feel like the solution to our problems is bigger than what any one group of people can fix. And I feel like the solution to our problems is not just that our economy needs to be booming, right? Because like you definitely get an increase in productivity when there's more money to be had, and when like inflation goes down and things are cheaper, it's more exciting because then you're trying to fill a void with purchasing, right? Which kind of puts us right back into the beginning of the problem. But like the main issue that all humans face is that they need to matter to somebody, right? They need people to look at them and think that they're the best. And you know, you're supposed to get that from your family until you find it in a partner. That's basically how that's supposed to work. And when that's not happening, you know, like this is where I think transgenderism can come in. I think now this is scary because this could get us into like banning territory, but I feel like this is the hard part. Is I've never dealt with this stuff personally, so I don't know how to. It's like an outside perspective. It's not an inside perspective. Like it would be so much more beneficial to have people who represent these communities speak on their own behalf instead of trying to speak for this community, because I am not part of it.
My sign's down, by the way.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it. I wandered away. I'm a lost sheep. I'm a lost sheep, Mark. I wandered off. Okay, I'm heading to the bonfire. But I feel like when people aren't getting the fulfillment that they need at home, and they're not finding it in the people they feel like they should be finding it in, they start looking at other people or other ways of meeting those needs. And this, God, I feel like an idiot for even saying this, because I feel like I don't know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? Like I'm just assuming based off like how logic in my brain works, and I could totally be wrong. So I want to be careful about that and preface this with that. But I feel like it might be a contributing factor as to why people. But then, you know, like, then again, like my nephew, or not my nephew, my cousin is gay, and he always was gay. I could always tell. When we were little kids, like way before puberty, he was like, "I'm a Spice Girl," and I was like, "You can't be a Spice Girl. You're a boy." Like it just didn't make sense to me. And then as he got older, I was like, "I'm pretty sure he's gay." And then when he like was in high school, his sister was like, "He's gay." I'm like, "I knew it. Like I always knew it." So, and I was fine with it because I'm like, that's just who you are, right? Like, so it's I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm gonna take a lot of that stuff back because
well, no,
I don't think I'm right.
You know what? This actually kind of spurred a bit of a thought I had a while back. Is that like when it comes to
this is the thing. Sorry, one quick thing. I'll let you speak,
sure,
but just quick.
I might lose my train of thought.
This is where I think like all the focus and all the like hard hitting like cancel culture around these topics is coming in, and it's dangerous because we're promoting it so much that I think confused kids could be like, "Oh, I must be this because I don't fit in normally."
Impressionable kids.
Impressionable kids can probably be pushed down this direction.
Yes.
And with the promotion of hormone blocking therapy and like gender reassignment surgeries, that's what scares me. Dysfunctional homes, impressionable kids, confused kids doing things that are permanent, that were just unmet needs as children, right? Like it could make their lives so much worse. That's the thing that scares me about it. And I think that's fine. I think that's okay to be looking at it from that perspective, because I know that these things exist. I know. Oh, you didn't die, did you? Okay,
no.
I know that there's people who have like legitimate gender dysphoria, and I know that there's people who are genuinely just.
But
no, it's for sure
for
a thing.
A child.
Yeah. Who has a best friend who's gender dysphoric, who comes from a really broken home, who wants to belong, is like, "Oh yeah, I'm totally trans too," because then I'm like, I belong to you. We're best friends. We can be even better friends if we're both trans, right? Like that's a thing. I know that could be a thing.
How do we get back? How do we get up here again?
I think it's this way, and I think there's.
To the north from here.
Yeah, I gotta hit this tree too, because I get the seed from it.
So I totally think that transgenderism is valid.
Yes.
It's a thing. It has to be recognized, absolutely. But
100%.
Where I draw the line is when it comes to parents and their enabling of gender dysphoria. because you can have gender
Yeah.
dysphoria, but when you have a 5-year-old or a young kid who wants to be a Spice Girl, that's not the kid saying,
Yes.
I'm a girl, not a boy.
Yes,
It's
yes.
them
'Cause
saying, I want to do, or I want to play with what the girls are playing with.
Yes,
I want to
exactly.
wear pink. I want to play with dollhouses. It's not, I'm a
Yep.
girl because I want to play with dollhouses. They
Yes.
want to
And I know
experience
there's
what
some
other
people that-
kids, their
Yep.
peers, are
And
also experiencing.
I know that there's some narcissistic enough parents out there that want to also socially belong in very liberal progressive groups, and they could probably push their kids to being transgendered so that they can be part of the community.
Because kids
they
are
can
so
use it as a
impressionable.
brag.
And your
But that makes
parents
sense, right?
yeah, absolutely. And your parents are supposed to be your guides, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if they say it's okay, yes, let's buy you some dresses. You feel like you're a girl,
Yeah.
absolutely. Let's accomplish that.
Yeah. Because
They're gonna
socially being
take that at
progressive
face
is like
value, 'cause-
it's a social power play, and it's like, oh, right? Because then everyone wants to know about how you're dealing with the challenge, and some people
Yes.
like that. They like having that challenge because they're like, I matter more to the community, and it's like that's something that scares me a
There
lot.
has
I totally
to
agree
be
with you.
a degree of fundamental brain development
Yeah.
before a human being crosses into that territory.
Yep. Yeah, you know what? And I'm really surprised that like medical professionals are naive to
I think-
not consider those things.
I think medical professionals are afraid
I think they are too.
what society of cancel culture.
But that's the thing is like that our social standing dictates a lot.
Oh my god,
Right?
this fucking
Like-
flame dude.
I know they're so rough. Did he kill you?
No, I'm still
Oh,
alive.
Okay, I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get him from behind here. Come here. I'm gonna friggin' spray him with the power of the stars. Take this. There, got him.
Nice.
I evaporated him with stardust. Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like when you like that's the thing that's so grounding about the idea of God and that we're all the same. Like you know, we're naked come into this world and we leave it naked. Like we don't take anything with us. We don't leave with like superiority over each other. You know what I mean? Like I think your relationships and what you've done to develop respect. No, that doesn't even make sense because then I'm just kind of like. I was gonna say that like social standing doesn't matter, but then like I think what you do in your life to actually help
Bonfire
people
up here.
creates social standing. So it's the same competitive nature.
Yeah.
But it's I don't think that's how it would work in a perfect world. But I don't know, man. There's a lot of unanswered questions. A lot of things that I feel are like paths of truth I've discovered in my life that like I want to venture down more. I want to learn more about. But I'm also scared because I don't want to enter a really narrow-minded community again. Like I definitely experienced some of that, and I experienced
Absolutely.
a lot of like really garbage people. I've experienced garbage people everywhere, but I think some of the most garbage stuff I've ever experienced
Well,
too
they
is
come
actually
from
in the
every
church.
origin,
They do, yeah,
fortunately.
yeah. Oh, I love this game. It's so cool.
Can we
This game.
cross? I thought by killing the dragon you could open the door.
No, I think you have to do some Ray Lucaria stuff.
But this is the entrance to Rea Lucaria, is it not?
Yes, but is there like some pre-stuff we have to do?
Yeah, I thought killing the dragon was the pre stuff.
Maybe. I don't know.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it has been a while. That's the cool thing about this game is that they don't really like hold your hand through the very, very
yeah.
lengthy areas.
What did we pick up from the dragon? I can't remember now.
Oh yeah, man, I'm so engaged in this conversation.
Is there a way to look at your
What time is it?
recently
It's
picked up
11:30.
items?
We're good.
Yeah.
I'll probably call it in about 15 minutes though. I don't know about recently picked up. Like I would, yeah, if it would highlight like your recent finds. It would be in the keys, so we can kind of scroll through our keys and see what we got. Godric Rune, Stone's Curiosity, Academy Key, Dragon Heart, Death Root, Shibiri Grape. Got a Shibiri Grape. I got cookbooks, workbooks, Spirit Calling Bell. I got a Costax Bell Bearing, Fire Monk's Prayer Book. Nope. I have some character maintenance items that I could use going to like the hub to give people and get upgrades and stuff. But
Yeah.
I mean, we could always just Google it. We could always just Google like the how to enter Relicaria. There's probably going to be a.
Yeah.
Because I do remember getting stuck here before, and then you actually helped me figure it out last time. But
Enter Relicaria.
oh yeah, it's over by the dragon.
Yeah.
We just missed it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on the other side of that, like that stone we killed him at. There's like a key for it. So we have to go all the way back. So that's too bad we can't hop on horses. Where was the dragon again? Which stone?
How much of a role do you think shitty parenting or like neglectful parents or...
Well, this is the problem. This is the
fuck.
problem.
We got an invader. Pause.
Well, let's get him. Let's get him.
That thought. Let's go.
This is the problem, though, is that every parent is going to fall short somehow, because every parent is going to hit that basic human insecurity of
though.
I don't matter, you know, because that's the thing is like every single person deals with that. They struggle with the I don't matter, right? And I think that's the thing. That's a reason why everybody has, like, they call it a God-shaped hole in their heart, because I think the whole, like, having that connection to God, however you want to describe him in whatever religion, it's the thing we're all chasing, I think, inevitably, is that permanent fixation of that hole in your heart that tells you, I matter the most, you know? And like, it's odd, because I think a lot of people find different ways to fill it in their lives, and they can be like, oh, I'm super badass, behind me. And like, you know, I'm gonna matter the most. Oh shoot,
oh shit.
That guy just crushed me. Damn, some powerful glintstones there. Nice. Does a lot of damage, this one.
Oh, it kicked me out. That sucks.
Yeah. So
I mean, I'm not very religious.
Visited. Just hold up. Last site of Grace visited, I think, is the one that's over by the door to the Relicaria.
Well,
so
I didn't get it
there. Oh shoot.
So I have to come back Academy Gate Town. Well, let's just go to the dragon.
Yeah, sure. Where exactly is the dragon again?
West. Just go to Academy Gate Town and pick up my sign.
I'm just gonna go get my souls.
I don't think a lack of faith, per se, is a reason for bad parenting. I'm not very religious.
No, I'm not talking about a lack of faith. I think it's just that I think that like every parent is doomed to fail their kids somehow.
Well, fail is a strong word. I think every parent can make mistakes and be a little bit misled in certain things. I could still think you could be a very good parent with that. I'm talking about like
full on
kids
neglect.
Growing up in broken homes or like with divorced parents or fully neglected or sat in front of a TV screen and there's no bonding whatsoever from the parents.
Yeah. That's true, because that's a lot of like our softed but eating disorder kids come in like that because they're just home alone a lot. They
verbal abuse, emotional abuse.
Yeah.
You know, friggin' prioritizing the frickin' Instagram photo that you're trying to get when your kid is trying to like get your attention.
Yeah,
that's the thing that's going on. Like all this kind of shit. That's what I mean by bad parenting. Not being present with your kid, not teaching them lessons.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Not guiding them through life.
Distracted
There's
parents.
a lot of distraction is huge, and what I mean with bad parenting. Do you see my sign?
I gotta be honest. Yeah. I gotta be honest. Like, if we're talking about this, I don't want to come across like a person who is perfect, who doesn't fall into these traps themselves. And that's, you know, like if we're gonna be blunt and try to like offer some good advice to whoever is listening to this, like that's actually been something that I've been kind of like dealing with lately. It's just like, I've had a few things in my life that have been difficult family-wise, and not like, you know, in my marriage or anything like that, but like has caused me to become pretty distracted. And the last while I kind of like semi-checked out of just like day-to-day life.
Yeah,
and so
a lot of that
is
just being human though.
It is,
You got to
but
give
that's
yourself credit where credit is due.
for sure. But you still like it's important to have those check-ins, right? That's
Oh,
where
sure. Yeah.
that's where a marriage is important because, like, if you get a divorce and you don't have a partner, you don't have anybody to keep you accountable. Like, unless it's your kid, right? Unless you get that, like, I am solely responsible for this kid. Like, maybe it could make it better. I don't know, right? Like,
Yeah.
but at some points, like, um, it's really good to have a person call you out on your crap and challenge you, right? Like, that's really important. And yeah, I think I kind of experienced that a bit recently myself, and it's just interesting how easy it is to fall into the pitfalls of life. And like, I guess if we're talking about mental health, like mental health, I think it has such a stigma attached to it because people think that, like, if you have a diagnosis of a mental health issue, or someone says, oh, they have mental health, it's kind of an interesting thing because everybody has mental health, right? Health is a spectrum. Health is like, it's impossible um, to define what health is because health is different to everybody. You could be a quadriplegic and be healthier than somebody who's not because your quality of life is better, because your relationships are more rich, right? Like that kind of stuff. And so I think mental health, people have to come to realize that everybody has mental health. Everybody has mental health challenges, and everybody has mental health factors in their life. But it's like some people have legitimate mental health diagnoses where maybe their mental health challenges like cause like a break to occur in their life where like their mind is not together anymore, right? But like anxiety, depression, those kind of things I think are pretty damn common. Like most people kind of struggle with that stuff. And especially when like life stress, like work stress and like expectations become a huge thing. Because if you constantly are just getting burdened with expectations, you're like, am I even meeting them? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm so tired. I just don't want to have people expect things from me for like a little while. And it's like, I think that's where people start to get depressed in life too.
Yeah. How much do you think that like distracted, negligent, bad parenting per se kind of affects like kind of like what we're seeing like in our own town or like society in general?
Well,
The amount
100%.
Of drug addicts, like criminals.
It's distractions. It's all distractions. We're all addicted to being distracted from our problems, and I think that's why like things like Jordan Peterson are so. Oh, you found it? I thought it was on the other side over the back here.
Oh, maybe. I mean, there's two bodies over here too, but.
Oh, okay.
The back side.
Oh, those bodies. Yeah, sorry. Those bodies just had items on them. I'm pretty sure it's around the back side here. But that's like kind of what Jordan Peterson is saying, is like we convince ourselves of lies so that we don't have to deal with reality, because sometimes reality is too hard to face. Like sometimes reality can present too big of a challenge, because sometimes you realize you can't fix the direction things are going, and you are basically going to have to just like come to grips with the fact that you're gonna get punched in the balls, right? Like you just kind of like, damn it, this is coming, I can't stop it. Oh, you know what? Damn it, I did get the key.
You did get it.
Maybe we couldn't go through the gate because you didn't get the key. Did you get the key?
Yeah, I did.
From this like Ray Lucaria statue guy?
Maybe you have to go through there without me?
Maybe. Let's do that. Leave. I'll send you. No, I don't have that selected. I got you.
Go there, see if you can enter.
Ka-cha!
I'll just freaking horse my way up there and get the bonfire.
Yeah, just Just run past those losers. But that's the thing. That's like why listening to Jordan Peterson is so sobering, because like a lot of us distract ourselves. Like you got to think that the reason why a lot of our problems in society are happening right now is because people that are in positions of leadership aren't taking their leadership roles. They're quitting their leadership roles, and so they're ignoring problems that are occurring. Yeah, it's definitely, you're right, Mark. I'm going through the gate right now. They're basically like asleep on the watch, right? And I think like a lot of people are in that position. And I think like I think a lot of people who should be paying attention aren't. and the signs and symptoms of a greater problem are manifesting, and people aren't recognizing it. And I think that's why people go crazy too, because they're realizing something is wrong, but I don't know how to fix it, right? I think that's part of mental health as well. It's like feeling like something's wrong, but not knowing how to fix it. And I think that's like a telltale sign that, you know, you might personally be struggling with something, and that you have to pay attention to that.
Yeah. Oh my god!
The getting help part is the hard part, because, you know, the way our system works now too is that it has to be pretty bad before, like, somebody will give you medications or, you know, give you an excuse to get out of work for a while. Like, you got to think about it, right? Like going on stress leave and stuff at jobs.
Yeah.
You have to have pretty significant things going on in order for, like, to qualify for that, I think. I think the things that cause, like, if you think about, like, what's causing a lot of mental health issues in society right now, it's quite obvious, right? We've got potential World War III going on, because we have the United States picking a fight with Russia, and they're also picking a fight with China, the two of the three world's largest nuclear powers, and that's not good. And then we've got economic issues happening. We're dealing with crazy inflation, right? Like, inflation is usually capped around 2%, and our jobs, like, luckily in our government positions, give us raises every year at 2% to be able to meet inflation, right? So we basically aren't losing money by just making less every year because the value goes down of the dollar. But now we're at like 7% inflation. Like, you can't keep up. You're just like, you're going to lose money because you can't, like, your dollar isn't as valuable as it used to be. And
My son's
like, no, okay, like a giant raise would be helpful, but at the same time, probably not going to get it. Like, we're probably going to get a bit of a raise, but I don't think we're going to meet 7% right off the bat.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot. Like, it's a huge chunk.
You never know.
Because what they're trying to do is they're trying to, well, I think the problem is they probably aren't willing to, because they don't think that inflation's going to stay at 7%. So if they get into a 4-year contract where we're going to make 7% right off the bat, then we will be rich compared to when inflation comes down and the cost of goods comes down. Right? But no, it's not fine by them, because then they're overpaying, and that's not strategically smart, because then it's like, well, give us more. This is just how it works. And
yeah.
Oh, I think, did we want to go down that bridge first? There's probably an item or
No,
something.
that goes. Nah, we don't need any items.
Okay.
We got it.
Well, I think there's like a vendor down there too, though.
Yeah, but we have everything.
Yeah, you're right. Oh, this is such a fucking awesome level.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
So I think the government's going to be really stingy in this round of bargaining, because I think they're pretty confident that they're going to be able to drop inflation over time.
Hey, wait, come back here.
Okay.
I need a good thumbnail for the video.
But that's a good thing. Oh yeah.
Let's
Two
do like,
buddies.
Let's do like could we do?
Hey!
Is there like a high five or something?
Oh,
Or
there's the one. Wait, yeah.
Remember the thing
we
did that one time?
Yeah. So switch one of the ones that you don't care too much about, and then it's the what do you want? I think is the one.
Right. That's right.
Yeah, and if you do it from the same.
No, I think you have
like,
to do
you
opposite.
Yeah, like that, right? And then if
No,
we
no,
do it
no.
at the same time.
Like our arms have to be touching.
Right. So he turns.
So
right.
like your
so we have to.
right arm should be touching my left arm.
Yep. Okay, let's try it on 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Nope, I went the wrong way.
Other way.
yeah, it's got to be left arm to left arm.
Left arm to left arm. So I have to go like this.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, on 3. 1, 2, 3. I don't think we're close enough.
Is there a photo mode in this game?
Well, you can just take a screenshot.
Yeah, but is there a photo mode?
I don't think so. That would be perfect if there was.
Here, unequip your shield for a sec.
Sure.
pieces.
I know. Okay, on 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
Okay, hang out there for a sec.
This is perfect because it's like we're deep in thought.
Let me just see if I can make my compass go away. Display.
Actually, you stay like that because I'm gonna try to get a little bit closer to you.
HUD. Off.
There we go. That's better. No, actually, I'm a little bit off still.
They should really make a photo mode for this game if there's not one.
Yeah. There we go. That's pretty cool. This is great.
See what else could we do?
Oh wait, go back because I gotta take a screenshot.
Nice.
I think you're facing. That works. Take screenshot. Perfect. Cool.
Well, this is kind of cool without a HUD, but I'm not that pro, so let me just go and put that back on. So how much do you think all that parenting stuff that we're talking about has contributed to the amount of like criminals and drug addicts and homeless people that we see these days? Because like it's bad in society right now. That's a pandemic in itself.
Yeah, I don't know if that's just necessarily bad parenting. I think that's just like.
I mean, that is something
that's hard to say because you're looking at the results of like
the whole
drug policy.
Of a person.
No, it's not even that. It's like the drug policy in the states changing and legalizing marijuana is now pushing narcotics, cheap fentanyl, through the cartels because the cartels in Mexico and even in China.
But what kind of
together.
people gravitate to doing those drugs in the first place?
Well, that's what yeah, that's true. Like typically broken people, but it's also just the fact that these drugs are incredibly addicting, right? Like super addicting, and people get exposure to narcotics from normal things in life. Like they get exposure to narcotics from surgery or like like
That's
so it's not. It doesn't necessarily just mean that you're like you weren't parented properly. It's like you ended up just getting addicted to something, and then you were so helplessly addicted.
But
that
not
when,
everybody's
like
addicted
when the
to
doc
pain
is just
meds
like no, but a lot of people are, and the reason a lot of people are, and then they're addicted to it, and then what happens is the doc is like, I'm taking this prescription away from you, and so they wean them the best they can, and then take the prescription away. But then that patient is like, I need to find this again in my life, and someone's like, well, heroin is basically that. So they're like, okay, I can get heroin, right? Or they're like, oh, I can actually buy like fentanyl on the streets, right? Like that's kind of how it goes, and then you just become hopelessly addicted. And then as you start to basically compromise your security system, not your security system, but like your social security by means of like your support network, right? Your family, like your parents. Like you could have a great family, but as you as an individual eat them up because you're like, I'm going to steal money from you so I can buy these drugs because I can't work, I'm unstable because I'm constantly high on drugs. Like, you know what I mean? I got fired because I was high at work. Like, that kind of stuff. Like, we're seeing a huge amplification of those issues. And that's,
for sure.
That's a problem. That's something that you can't just fix. Like, I think the problem with that is that it's the snowball is going down the hill and it's too big and it's too fast to be stopped. So, like, I don't know what you do about that because I don't think anybody knows what you do about that. Otherwise, we would have done something about it.
Yeah, no, these issues are definitely an amalgamation of many things.
Yeah,
for sure. I would also,
but maybe
our legal system as well, because there's a lot of wrist slapping that goes on.
But as parents, like, I guess the hard part too is like being involved, right? Like being aware and like educated. Like that's the hard part about being a parent is you have to be like, you got to be like up to snuff on everything that's going on in the world because you have to know how to guide your kid.
Yes.
you know, like I think like the benefit of being in the medical profession is that we have a lot of perspective on these issues. It doesn't necessarily mean we're going to be bulletproof. I mean, how many nurses have you heard about who like overdosed at work in the bathroom
God, no.
because they had drug addict problems, right? Like it's not common, but it happens.
We're
And it's
people
like
just like anybody else. Absolutely.
exactly, right? So, and also the stresses that we deal with are pretty intense. So it's like, you know, people are just trying to find ways to like decrease the stress they feel and feel that sense of love and blood. I know these things are terrible. Oh, they just pop out of nowhere and they're like, hey, I'm gonna suck your life force out.
Ah, suck your dick.
Oh, hold on.
What's that from?
I'm gonna get that booty. Hold on. Okay, this is how you deal with these guys. You need that flame. Here, I'll deal with the next big wave.
It's such a hard thing to say. I think you need a whole panel of experts to like really analyze what we're trying to say.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
like
it's not an easy to talk about.
There's definitely a contribution to parenting too.
Because I know, but the whole thing too is like saying that it's because of bad parenting. Then what is good parenting? You have to really define it, and you have to be able to make it so it's easily accessible to anyone, right? Like,
well, I think that's
and then
also
if that's the
thing
case,
is
if that's the case, it should be mandated that when you are like find out you're pregnant, that the government then provides parenting classes. And it's like, this is what is expected of you to raise a healthy child, right?
But then
you're really infringing on people's rights. It's like,
exactly.
Yeah, exactly, right? So that's, but yeah. I mean, if that's the problem, then our healthcare system needs to be running free, promoted healthcare classes for parents that start at the moment they find out they're pregnant. And it is like, we'll pay for your lunch. But there's going to be food provided.
Take them.
Yep.
Then it's fruitless.
This is true. Yeah, because like you could guarantee like a young pregnant person, their parents will probably be like, you don't need the system telling you how to raise your kid, right? Yeah. But I think as you do it and you keep it consistent, you probably have parents who went and did it and were like, wow, I really learned some very, very valuable things. Right? So it's got to be good. Otherwise it's not going to last.
Yeah.
But then when their kids have kids, you could be like, these parenting classes are phenomenal and you should do them, right? And so it just generationally becomes a good thing. But then we have to be very honest about ourselves as humans. We have to be honest with the fact that we have pitfalls, and we have to be honest about like how to recognize them and deal with them. And people don't like doing that. People don't like sacrificing their ego, and they don't like, you know, like, because it affects social standing. To admit that you were a bad parent at a point, right? Like, that's a problem. Like, you're not going to get that throughout society, and that's also like another reason why bad decisions are made in big organizations, because people's egos, right? And like, I guarantee you, world wars have been started because of bad egos, and it's like, I just don't know if there's a solution. Like, that's the thing, is like, if you're going to talk about a problem, you got to look at the root. And I think the hard part of being like an overthinker is that the root goes back to like our conception as a species, like where you know,
perhaps
it's generational.
It's just a human condition, and it's something that we can't
overcome. But we can definitely make efforts, right? And I think that's the problem, is that when you stop making efforts, the problem just gets out of hand, and it's always going to be a battle. I think that's the reality of it. And I think that's kind of full circle where we're going with this conversation, is the fact that like, if you stop trying to rein in the problem and you just let it be, then all hell breaks loose, and then it's gonna turn into a wound that just destroys or you know what I mean, like a wound that destroys the person that's infected by it. And I think that's why you have the conservative groups in society pushing back against liberalizing faux pas lifestyle choices and things like that, because of what we even just mentioned, the caution around like impressionable minds, because they see that society could really get into trouble if we let things just get out of control. But it could also be that whole thing where it's like, maybe it won't, maybe it'll actually get better, right? And I think that's what the liberal groups are saying, is like, if we give like marginalized people a chance to be normal, it might actually make our society stronger.
Yes. Well, there's a way
Right?
to do it.
Yeah. And I think that's important too. I think we do have to make marginalized people stronger. But
Absolutely, of course.
if
of course.
we have, but at the same time, if you have people who
This
also
guy.
have a very broken sense of family and don't understand what parenting means because of the way they live their lives, you can't expect them to fix a problem in society that you think is mostly caused by, you know, lack of parenting, like that kind of stuff, right? So that's the hard part, is that we have conflicting perspectives on why these issues exist and how to solve them.
Yeah.
That's the reality of it.
Yeah. It's
There's
very
a
much
lot
like
of-
a chicken and the egg situation too. Like you
Yes.
need that good guide to provide that good guidance in the first
Mhm.
place. So it's like, how do you get there in the first place? It's very much like, to course correct, it's like a generational problem
Oh,
solving
huge.
thing.
But that's the problem. Is
Generations,
if you're going in the wrong direction because you're like, I'm gonna fix this problem, I'm gonna be noble, but you're actually making it worse, then you ruined it even another generation, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think that's kind of a hard part, is that like if you don't really know what the answer is, I mean, you're just, all you can do is try, right? All you can do is just kind of experiment.
Yeah. Well, making an effort.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's true. Well, what do you say? Moral of the story is just be present in people's lives. That's what
present.
good parenting is. Just
Yeah,
be present.
absolutely. And
Even if you're not perfect, even if there's groups of people who hate you for living your life the way that
Yeah.
you live it, if you're present, you do better than people who
Always-
think that they're morally superior that do nothing.
always
That's-
make an effort, and always try to improve on
Other people's
yourself,
outcomes.
or improve as a parent. Like actually, like try and find resources to help you improve in your parenting, right?
Yeah,
I would
and
say-
I think that's the thing, is like, I think the important thing about parenting though is that it's not about you, it's about your kid. And
Yeah.
so like the important thing is like if you're looking for resources, it's not so that you can become a better parent so that other people think that you're a good parent. It's you're trying to discover what your kid's gonna need to thrive, which I think most people will just identify over time anyways.
Yeah.
But like, bad parenting is ignoring the fact that you have a kid at home and going out and getting drunk with your friends all the time, right? Like, that's bad parenting. Like, good parenting is like, I'm going to spend the evening actually playing games with my kid, right? Like, and if you're looking for resources on how to be a good parent, it has to come from the spot that you just want to make your kid's life better.
Yeah.
I think that's the important part. You got to have like the right frame of reference first.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think those are good rules to live by, for sure.
Yeah.
Well,
And I say that as a person who is trying to be a good parent.
yeah. Well, yeah.
And,
We're just
and
trying
having
ourselves.
fumbled a few times already, you know.
Of course,
But
but I
it's-
feel like we do pretty well, good enough
Yes.
to give advice ourselves.
I do. Yeah, I think so. I think so. But I think that's the reality of it. I think that's why this podcast exists in the first place,
Yeah.
is because we just want to be able to offer perspective so that people don't feel like they're alone in thinking things aren't perfect. You know, like I don't want to try to be an example. I just want to encourage people to try. I think that's the most important thing, is like, I know I'm not perfect. I know that some of my ideologies in this world aren't perfect, and I'm always willing to adjust how I view things to like better the community, because it has to be about others. It can't just be about myself. And otherwise, you know, it's like I'm not actually going to help anybody. I'm only going to help myself. And yeah, I think that's the thing, is like, this conversation, I guess, is just community of two dads who like to play games, who want to learn how to be good at life and help others be good at it too. Almost like when you look at the mission statement for what was that movie called again? Oh, such a good movie. This would be a perfect moment to not have a brain freeze.
Yeah.
Zoolander, the center for kids who can't read good and want to learn how to read or do other things good too.
Yeah.
Right? That's what we could call this. We could call this a center for kids who can't read good, but want to learn how to do other things good too.
Well, shall we end this podcast on a boss fight?
Hell yes. Let's do it.
Oh, frick, I wish I had some cerulean tears, but I don't.
Oh, you know what? I have no cerulean tears either.
Oh,
I have one crimson tear flask, and then I got my wondrous physic flask.
Pure skill.
Pure skill. I fucking love it. Okay, so conversation is over. Let's fight a boss. Oh shoot! This boss is intense. You know what? We do enough DPS that we're gonna crush him.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh,
God.
okay, I'm so close to dying. I don't know if I'm gonna make it. Take that Flimsen Crafts. Oh no. Oh. Ooh. Holy smizzly.
What's this?
Oh my gosh. That's insane. Oh, don't hurt me, don't hurt me.
Oh god.
Holy crap, this dog is crazy. Smokes. Ooh, ooh, ooh. 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 I have like barely any health left. This is a hard fight.
Same.
Oh, we're so close, Mark. We're so close. Oh! Oh, he got me! Damn, it's so close. Well, at least we'll have like full stuff now. We can fight him again and win. Oh, that was so wild.
Let's take this guy out before we finish this off.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. That's midnight, but yeah, this is good. This is good.
Oh, wait. No, that's not gonna work. Let's start all the way from the back at the beginning of...
Oh, that's too long.
Yeah. That's okay. On the next one.
Yeah, but is whoever's watching gonna be like, I'm so disappointed in you. You didn't see it through. Can't we just run though? Can't we just like book through and not actually fight anybody? I'm pretty sure we can.
Yeah.
Yeah, we totally can. Let's do it.
Okay, well I have to get up the elevator because I'm all the way back in the original thing.
Oh, ooh. Yeah, that makes sense. That's a long way to go. Never mind. Yeah, we're gonna come back into this again another time because I forgot that you have to do the entire level. I kind of thought we'd be starting at this bonfire, but no, that's not the case. That's way too far to go.
Well, where is your bonfire?
Dude, I can play tomorrow night too. I've got, I mean, not late. I work the next day, but I can play for like a little bit.
Yeah.
I can at least get you to this bonfire.
Which bonfire are you at? What's it called?
It is called the Schoolhouse Classroom.
Schoolhouse Classroom. Okay, we'll call it then.
Yeah, that's a long way to go.
Yeah. I guess that concludes episode 2 of Who's Your Daddy? I think it was an interesting one.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like this topic is so huge that like we could just scratch the surface of one little niche area.
Oh, 100%.
I feel like we could do an entire series about mental health, but
I think we'll be touching on it
yeah,
indirectly in other conversations that we have.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. But I think at the end of the day, we kind of covered even just like a reminder to parents to just be present with your kids at all times. That for those first 5 years go by really fast.
They do.
They fly by and you never get it back, and that's honestly like a peak part of your lifespan.
Yeah.
So
just thinking, we went on some pretty epic rants.
Oh, absolutely. That's always happens.
I know, it's so fun.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, enjoy your kids, and don't lose sight of that, because I think that's probably something that we're gonna face is like, you have the most beautiful little humans, and then they start becoming independent people who rebel against you, and have like it could be really nasty.
Well, they just start becoming people
People,
in
yeah,
themselves,
exactly.
right? They start becoming
Yeah.
independent. And just,
But
like,
then you
really
send them to community prison for 12 years.
yeah,
And
there
then they
really is
basically
like a magic in the first few
yeah.
years, you know?
Yeah, but I think that's like the thing that gives you the inspiration to kind of like be there for them for the rest of their life.
Absolutely.
Right? You fall in love with them so much at this stage. So
Yeah.
like yeah, I think it's important that we all kind of like remind each other not to lose sight of that. I think that's pretty important.
Yeah. Absolutely. And we're just aspiring parents ourselves.
Yeah, we just want to do a good job.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, thank you all for watching. Please like and subscribe if you like what you see on this channel. You can also check out Dangler Games on YouTube. He will be uploading videos soon as well. Otherwise, Dan, thank you for joining me again.
Always
Everybody
a pleasure,
else,
Mark.
adios.